So the two Vaidyas that have given me the wisdom and the knowledge are these Vaidyas, Dr. Nida and Dr. Pasangarya. Both are from, of course, Tibet. Dr. Pasangarya was in India for some time. Now he's in Italy. He has his Tibetan Medicine Education Center. So वो जो है online sessions भी classes करते हैं, 3-year courses. But this is more, when we do the online sessions, it's more on the theoretical aspect to understand what is Tibetan medicine, how do we apply it in our life. The practical aspect of treatment, we have also got contact sessions every year where we have to go to, unfortunately, travel to Switzerland and study the practical aspects. Dr. Nida Jinaksang is also in Europe. He's in Rome now, and he's the founder of Sorig Institute. And I represent the activities of this particular institute in India, especially Bangalore. Looking forward to people who can create more Sorig institutes across India. Whoever is interested, please do get in touch. One of Dr. Nida's statements really struck home for me in one of the congresses that we had. He said, "My goal is to have a physician in every home." That is to say, every house should have at least one person who knows what to do. What is medicine? What is the medicine which is there at home? The kitchen medicine, as we used to say before. Nana, nani, dada, dadi, they had this wisdom. But with the breaking up of all the, getting into nuclear families, we have lost this wisdom. So now it's time for the youngsters to pick this up, to be aware and make sure there's a physician in every home so that there is disease in no home. As I mentioned, the Tibetan medicine is based on the Amrita Hridaya Angashta Guhya Upadesha Tantra, also known as the Gyushi. These are the 4 tantras, which are the 4 levels of learning. We go from one to the other. And of course, there is much more advanced learning even after these 4 tantras. This is known as Gyushi. And this is based on Vagbhata's, I think Vagbhata. Yeah, Ayurvedic doctors, please let me know if I'm right here or wrong here. But I think this is Vagbhata's Amrita Hridaya Angashta Guhya Upadesha Tantra. So what is Tibetan medicine? Tibet का नाम जब हम लेते हैं तो कहाँ है Tibet? What is Tibet? We look at this illustrated map of Tibet. You can see it's above Nepal, Burma, side China, etc. So this is the physical place that we call Tibet. But as with India, can you say what is India? It's a very difficult answer. One of my friends, who's not an Indian naturally, asked me, what unites India? Because there is so much of variation, customs, traditions, languages, etc. But you see, our culture is the same. Similarly, when we look at Tibet, Tibet is not just a place. Tibet is an essence, like India is an essence. We cannot localize it. So when we even look at Tibetan medicine, we cannot say it is just here. It comes with traditions from India, from China, from Persia, from Greece. There was the indigenous tradition in Tibet known as Gumshi, which after I wouldn't say influences, there was a conference. Yes, there was a conference. One of the kings had invited physicians from across the world. Everybody came in and they put in all the wisdom that they had. And this was collectively put together as the Gyushi or the 4 tantras. So we look at Tibet here. This is from the 1800s, a map. You can see how far it extends. 1700. So we cannot localize this to saying that this developed here. This was preserved, this grew here, this flowered here. One of the earliest personalities of medicine in Tibet was Tompa Shenrab. And now the interesting thing is, it is believed that he came from Takzik, which is Persia then, which is now Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. He was the earliest influence on medicine in this region. But later, with the advent of Ayurveda, many physicians, Vaidyas from India traveled to Tibet, and there was a lot of interaction between the people. Then we had Yuthok the Elder. He compiled all the teachings. He was reborn as Yuthok the Younger, who revised all these teachings and formulated what is now given to us as the Gyushi, as well as there is another text known as the Blue Beryl. Yuthok, the older and the younger, are, as I said, they're the reincarnations, rebirths, but the original physician was Jivaka, who was a personal physician of the Buddha. He was a prince, but he took up medicine studies and he was a personal physician to Buddha. Even today, he's revered as the father of medicine in Thailand. Most of you who would have gone for a Thai massage would have observed that the practitioner always starts with a prayer. That is a mantra, Om Namo Shivago. That is Om Namo Jivaka, which has been, how we say, in colloquial, not colloquial, in the local dialect. Jivaka has become Shivago. And now we come to the main figure of Sovarigpa, the medicine Buddha. The medicine Buddha is supposed to be a form of Buddha, Shakyamuni. Shakyamuni Buddha at the age of 70 gave the teachings of medicine near Varanasi, and he emanated into this form and gave the teachings. This is a beautiful tanka, which is known as Tanadug, translated into Sanskrit, Sudarshana, that which is beautiful to behold. And this, in a nutshell, gives us the history, the influences, the applications of Tibetan medicine. In the center, we have the medicine Buddha. Behind him are the Devas from the Vedic pantheon. Then the Buddhist group of Bodhisattvas. In front are the non-Buddhist group, and then the others are the Rishis, which, if you look at the non-Buddhist physicians included, are Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, Kartikeya. The god physicians are Indra, Ashwinis, Lama Dutsima, who's also known as Amrita Devi. The Buddhist physicians are Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, Vajrapani, Ananda, and as I mentioned, Jivaka. The Rishi Ayurvedic physicians, Atreya, Punarvasu, Agnivesha, Kashyapa, Dhanvantri, and many, many others. So all of these are present when the Buddha gave the teaching. And we can see that we have the Ayurvedic influence here with the Atreya, Punarvasu, and the other physicians. The Syagyu, or the Upadesha Tantra, the root Tantra, ends with a verse, Etadat Panaha Sharira, Vak Manastraya, Dosha Rahita, Rujusarala Vapara Udosha, Na Alasya Samakarana, Rishi Vidya Idikrita. So, having explained everything about the Anadug, the Syagyu ends saying that this is known as a tradition of the Rishis or the Drangsungs. This rectifies one's doshas or defects of body, mind, and speech, and balances the fault of others. Which means to say, it is not just us, we are also influencing society, we are influencing another person when our body, mind, and speech is in balance. Which brings me to the, how we say, the core subject of what is medicine all about. Medicine is about working with what our life, which is Ayu. Now, Ayu, generally people say, think of it as life. Life what? A much more detailed description is given in the Charaka Samhita. Sharirendriya Sattva Atma Sanyogo Dhari Jivitam Nityagaschanubandhascha Paryayayihi Ayuruchyate. Ayu, one's life, is a conjunction of physical body, senses, mind, and soul. It is known by the synonyms Dhari, that which sustains, Jivita, that which is alive, Nityaga, which is in continuum. Here again comes continuum, Nityaga. All of these are a continuum. And Anubandha, it is interdependent. So my body is dependent on my mind is dependent on my body, as well as each being dependent upon my energy system. What is the root of disorder, ill health? The first thing which Tibetan medicine teaches us is it is the mind. And what about the mind? It calls it the three poisons, which is attachment, anger, and ignorance. All issues in our system start with these three basic emotions, all ill health and disorder. And these are very beautifully represented here as snake, boar, and a bird. Generally, the bird is a rooster, but here we have a bird. How does this correlate? Attachment. Attachment is like the boar or the pig. Inertia, sluggishness. Anger and hatred is like a snake, which is all set to strike at any time. I'm sorry, I went a little off. Attachment is not the boar. Ignorance is the boar. Because when you're ignorant about things, we do not do things. We do not move. We become inertia. So like a boar, we are sitting in a place. The antidote given to this by the Buddha was pragya shiksha, wisdom, work on the mind. For anger, the snake is samadhi shiksha, which is calming down oneself with meditation and other practices. And for attachment, shila shiksha. Shila is like, we know the panchashila, the 5 precepts, what precepts you take when you, it's like the yama niyamas in our Ashtanga yoga. Also, from the 3 poisons, there was also a description of the 5 poisons which developed with mostly the Mahayana tradition, which we know in our tradition as kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. And the antidote to this was meditating on one of these Buddhas, specifically in one of the chakras. Now we come to the Ayu, which is our body, mind, and energy. How do we balance this? The body aspect was considered, and yoga became a part of medicine. So it is called Lujong in Tibetan, which is exercising body through movement, asanas, and salung, which is like pranayama and kriyas, and meditation. So here, the interesting thing about the Tibetan yoga is that it is more dynamic. It's not so much static. Some of it is, in fact, really difficult to do. It takes a lot of practice to reach there. Then we have the salung of pranayamas, which is breathing techniques Some of them very similar to our Hatha Yoga tradition, some different, more specific to healing a particular organ, balancing a particular prana. As you know, we have many pranas, out of which there are 5 main pranas. So the body movements are done to regulate each of these 5 pranas. Pranayama is done to balance the 3 nadis, which is our Ida, Pingala, and the Sushumna. Also, you'll find a lot of things coming in from here, like moving the body, the movements of the body to balance the pranas in different parts of the body are very similar to what is now coming up as somatic exercises in the West. I wouldn't say it is very recent, because right from the times of Sigmund Freud, William Reich was working with how emotions affect our body. And he would notice that there is stiffness, there is rigidity in parts of the body. He would advise exercises for that part of the body. We find that this was already there in the older tradition. One other aspect was we have putting our body in a state of tension and then shaking it all off. This, interestingly, has come up as a technique now known as the tension release exercise, which actually started off all this process. Dr. Sandeep connected with me when we were discussing TRE, which is tension release exercise. Also, to work on the body, we work with the sense organs. Our sense organs, the eyes, nose, tongues, ears, the skin. We can work on this by utilizing simple substances which are available in our kitchen. Or if it is not there, you can easily buy it. For example, every sense organ is connected to a vital organ. For example, the heart is connected to the tongue. So if you do an exercise with the tongue, you are rejuvenating your heart. When we do eye exercises, moving left, right, up, down, or circular ones, these seem like very simple exercises, but what we are doing is we are rejuvenating our liver with the eyes. The ears are connected to the kidneys, the nose to the lungs. So in this way, when we exercise on our organs, sense organs, we revitalize, we rejuvenate our inner vital organs also. There is also the dietary component, which I started off with. For example, if you were to look at the heart, we use nutmeg, just a pinch of nutmeg to balance any disorders of the heart. For the lungs, it's bamboo pith, what you get in the center of the bamboo, the white color, well, it's called Vamsalochana in Ayurveda. The liver, saffron. The spleen and pancreas, the stomach. We have black cardamom, the badi ilaichi. For the kidneys, the green cardamom. So these are the tips given to us how we can prevent disease, ill health, how we can balance our systems. One thing, work with your sense organs. Do simple exercises with each of them. 2, utilize these spices. And then we go to a Salanga or the Pranayama. The Pranayama is working on balancing the 3 nadis, which are associated with our 3 doshas, our constitution. The right is Pitta, the left is Kapha, the central channel is Vata. So when we do this pranayama where we are doing Nadi Shuddhi, we are not just balancing our prana, we are actually working on balancing our 3 doshas also. there is 9 purification technique, which is there in Nejang, which is a Tibetan yoga system, which is very simple, but a little complicated in hand movements. Coordination of breath and hand is required. So, but it's a beautiful exercise, which helps us balance our 3 channels, our 3 doshas. How do we work on the mind? Listening, reading, reflecting on the Dharma teachings. That is Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. So you can see how much it is similar to our Indian tradition. How do we work on the energy aspect? Interestingly, energy is called speech. When we look at our Vedantic teachings, the first thing which Brahman created was Vach. And from Vach, everything else comes. So Vach is the energy of Brahman. So our speech is our energy. So the prayers, mantras, reducing excess voice activity, that is not gossiping, I would guess. These are some of the things we can do to balance our speech and energy. This is a representation of the spiritual tradition of Tibetan medicine known as the Yutuk Ningting. It starts from the root, which is Nondro. Nondro means the routine practices. We have the common, uncommon, and routine Nondro, which would be a little exhaustive to get into right now. So we'll just say these are the preliminary practices we do before we start to go to the other stages. The first stage we'll look at is the creation stage, where we have practices of outer Guru Yoga, inner Guru Yoga, secret Guru Yoga, concise Guru Yoga. So the whole purpose of this practice is, as you can see, from outer to inner to the secret to the concise. Make it from the outer into something within, which is as concise as possible. The next stage we have Tumo Yoga. Tumo Yoga is also taught us. Tumo, as most of you would know, is the increasing of the heat in the body. You would have seen a lot of videos where monks who sit out in the Himalayas, sometimes with a wet cloth on, they generate enough heat that the cloth becomes dry. And now this is not just for a physical heat that we are working with this particular yoga. This yoga is a fire which starts from within, melts all the impurities, and then Kundalini, etc. comes in. How do we take our practice from day to day through the night? That is through the dream yoga. In dream yoga, there are techniques. By focusing on certain chakras and mantras, we go into sleep doing that, and the practice continues. We have clear light yoga and illusory body yoga. Then we have the Bardo Yoga. Bardo is the term given for the time after a soul leaves the body, and it's called in between. Bardo means in between. When the soul leaves the body and before it takes rebirth, it's in a space. That's the Bardo space. That's the Bardo experience. So there is a practice on how to navigate through the Bardo experience. And there is Pova. Pova is a technique where the yogi leaves the body when they want to. And that is to say it's final liberation for them. In the completion stage, we have Mahamudra, which is a teaching of direct pointing out of the truth. And then there is Karma Mudra, which is a sublimation of our sexual energy, our sexual impulses into greater energies, which is basically, again, what the Kundalini is. And the great perfection is Ati Yoga, which is great perfection, so it cannot be spoken of. Now, I would like to share with you a simple technique. I have spoken a lot about how do I balance my pranas, that there are movements, there are postures we can do. Here we have what is called the 7-point posture of Vairochana. Vairochana was one of the great teachers who has given this training. Right, so we can see the, I think Dr. Ranjan, right? Ranjan is putting in, yeah, he's put in the names of the pranas. There is a verse which gives this very beautifully for the purification in our tradition. Prano, Pana, Vyano, Dana, Samana. May Shuddhyantam. May these 5 be purified within me. So these are the energies in different parts of our body. One is in the head, which is called the upward flowing. I don't want to go into the Sanskrit names or Tibetan names I cannot pronounce, so I won't even try it. So I won't go into the Sanskrit names. Let's take just the English terminologies. There is the upward, there's a life-sustaining, there is a digestive, downward flowing, and all-pervading. So which will give you an idea. Upward is naturally upward in the head. Life-sustaining is in the heart. Digestive is in the abdomen. Downward flowing is below the navel downward. And all-pervading will be the entire body, enveloping the entire body. So here is a very interesting correlation to what Wilhelm Reich started to work with. Instead of these 5, he described 7 parts of the body. He described the head into 2, actually. That's why it went into more. The eyes and the forehead, the jaws, the throat, chest, abdomen, legs. So he also discovered that he observed that people talking to him about their distress and issues had issues in these parts of the body. So you can see how the ancient method is now coming back, how neurology is now actually saying, oh, this is right. So it's very important to give some attention to our pranas and work with them, and not just pop in pills or whatever I mentioned as spices also. It's good to do a physical activity to first get the ball rolling. Now, the other aspect, yes, the 3 channels, we all know this. We know Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Now, the colors given here are from Tibetan medicine. The right side is red because it's Pitta. The white is on the left, the earth and water element, which is Kapha. The central is Vata, the wind. So working with pranayama is, as I said, balancing all these 3. Now, the interesting thing about this, if you will see, the right is Pitta. Pitta is what? Heat, anger, hyperactivity, aggressiveness. All these are related to that. The left is more calming. It's water and earth, which is, we can say, relaxing, sluggishness, inertia. They are both positive and negative. It's not that it is just positive and negative. Both have their own parts and both have their own points and both need to be balanced. And the central is the air, which is the flowing of the mind. Interestingly, I would like to bring the neurobiological correspondence here also. Now, the autonomic nervous system that we have, which is our day-to-day actions without thinking, reflex actions, etc., which we do not have to think about, which we do not have to process. So activation part, if you want to activate this particular nervous system, you breathe through your right nostril is what neurobiology tells us. This is called the ultra-radian rhythm now. Very, very akin. Not very akin, it is pretty much our Swara Yoga. So when you breathe only through your right nostril, in and out, we are activating our nervous system. When we do the left, we are activating the relaxation component of it. When we do the central, which is basically breathing in through both, so we are balancing both aspects, activation and relaxation, so we are calm and baseline. So you can see the correspondence. Pitta is heat, anger, hyperactivity, which is activation part of nervous system, right side, right nostril, right channel. Coming to the left side. I repeat again, relaxation, calming, sluggishness, inertia. Central is balance. So you will see if there are certain practices where it's as simple as activation, it's called activate, and the left is called rest and digest. When you need to rest and digest, just check which nostril is working. If you find that the right is working, when you breathe out forcefully, you are still, I'm talking to you now, I am engaged in activity, so my right is working. My left is not that perceptible as my right. So this is something you can, experiment with yourself. This is a description of the breathing that we will be doing a little later now. And as with our Hatha Yoga tradition, we have the system of channels and chakras, even in the Tibetan tradition. Interestingly, there are only 5 chakras. And the 5 chakras are again, 5 elements and the 5 pranas. And as I mentioned to you before, the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, who are the antidotes for the 5 mental poisons, they are in these 5 chakras. They are visualized, meditated on for clearing those poisons. This I shall skip. And I end with a wish for all. Bhavatu Sarva Mangalam. This, as you will all know, is Triphala. Haritaki, Vibhidaki, Amalaki. The most important medicine in Ayurveda and Tibetan medicine. So thank you for giving this opportunity to express a little bit on Tibetan medicine. I'm sure I would have left a few things hanging because this opportunity just came in last minute. We spoke and we decided on this session. So you have any questions? Maybe we can start right now. Thank you.
2 questions, Dr. Aditya.
Andy.
In fact, not question, but I want to know more about how to reflect on Dharma teachings.
Okay. In the Dharma teachings, the study of the Upanishads or Puranas, whatever you're connected to. So the thing in medicine is secular. It doesn't say, okay, unless you take the Buddha's teachings only, you are going to, progress. So reflect on any of the Dharma teachings. It can be Hindu, it can be Buddhist, Jaina, or even Christianity and everything. All of these have got their own significance. So when we look at it, there can be a whole session on this, in fact, because why does, where was I? I'm sorry, I got lost. My prana has disappeared somewhere. We were talking about Dharma teachings. Yes. So we can have a whole session on this, because every practice, whatever has the teaching a teacher has given, has a very significant neurobiological effect in us. For example, the simple practice of gratitude. We start, let's say we are doing, in our tradition, we have the prayer that we do before we eat food or before we do something. That is an acknowledgement of the Supreme and gratitude for that, for the food that we are receiving, for what we are receiving. Similarly, the Buddhist tradition has got gratitude. Similarly, Christianity has grace. Everybody says the grace before they eat. So what happens when we are doing this? Gratitude, when it is developed, of course, this has to be more than lip service. We have to mean what we are saying. We don't even need to say it. I'm sure a lot of people would be here who have done Reiki. The first thing that we do in that is the attitude of gratitude. My teacher told me, you don't even need to say it, just feel it. Because feeling is more important than the verbal thing. I can say something, but I may not mean it, I may not feel it. So when we feel it, when we sense, when we evoke gratitude in our system, the chemicals which are being produced in our body are from the relaxing aspect. So when I am agitated, I cannot eat. If I eat, digestion doesn't happen proper. I don't even get hungry when I'm agitated, for that matter. So I'm giving a very simple example now. So gratitude by itself creates the neurobiological, the chemical changes in my system, which makes me open to the next process.
Nice. There's one question regarding Triphala.
Cardamom and gooseberry. There was not cardamom. In Triphala, we have haritaki, which is called harad, bibhitaki. I don't know what is the other name for bibhitaki. All right, you can look this up. Haritaki, bibhitaki, and amla. In fact, you get tablets and capsules and churana. So don't worry about this. Just go pick it up from your Ayurvedic store. The English names, let me share it with Dr. Ranjan, because Berda, correct. Thank you, Neelkant. The English names, it's all, it's Latin names rather. So little tongue twisting for me right now. It's Terminalia cebula, Terminalia cebula. Okay, let me not embarrass myself. I'll send it to Dr. Ranjan. He can share it.
Okay, sir, we'll Google it.
Thank you.
Gooseberry is amla, the rest too, I don't know.
The other two are used mostly in medicine.
Yeah, I'm not aware of those.
As Neelkant, I think, has given harad, bheda, and amla.
No worries, sir, we'll Google it.
So the spice used for liver is saffron. You take only 2 strands of saffron, put it in water, put it in your mouth.
I have one question.
Anji.
Is dream yoga something like lucid dreaming?
Yes, very much. But it goes beyond that, because you're not just doing that lucid dreaming. Like my teacher tells us, when you are in dream yoga and you're lucid and you see that in your dream, generally when a dream occurs, it happens on its own through the subconscious patterns in my mind. But when I am aware and awake in my dream, I can change what is happening. So that is a learning that we take from dream yoga and put it in life, because life is also apparently a dream. Yes, Dr. Kamakshi, about Tibetan medicine, yes, there are courses. If you want to do a full-time course, of course, you would go to Mensikang in Dharamshala. And otherwise, from the Sorig Institute, we have 100, 200-hour course, etc., which happens online. I also do the basic training for the Root Tantra, which is the first step in studying Tibetan medicine. So if you're interested, you can please let Dr. Anjan or Dr. Sandeep know, and we can probably do a Root Tantra class. Yes, we will do the 7th point of Vairocana soon. I think we'll do that at 12:15 when we enter meditation.
With the one question, detoxification of body, spice for detoxifying or detoxification of body.
Detox would be a big process. It won't be just a spice. But Triphala is a great agent for detox. And it's always good that we meet a physician and take it forward for specific, like I think somebody asked about fatty liver, Jyotiji, for fatty liver, etc. We will have to look into many other things. What I have mentioned today is mostly from a preventive point of view. How can we use this so that our organs are energetic, they are healthy and working, and no disorder sets in. For therapeutic, interventional, it is good to have a session, consultation with a Vaidya, because each one's constitution is not the same. How to use Triphala? Triphala you can use as tablets or churna. You can take it. I will have to know what company product you're taking before we can, comment on how much to take or how to use. So yes, please get in touch with me or any Ayurvedic doctor. They will definitely, because I cannot give a blank statement here for. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people might not vibe with it. It might not work with their system. De-addiction treatment would be, again, a long process, and we would have to work on quite a few things. So I would not like to comment on that here. Improving lung efficiency, pranayama is definitely the way to go. And the other one I mentioned, the bamboo pith or Vamsalochana or Vamsalochana, that is very good for opening up the lungs, making them more healthy. Yes, generally Triphala is taken in warm water before bed. So my email ID, can I, Dr. Ranjan, can I drop it in the box here?
Obviously, sir.
Great. So I got some problem with that too. I'll share it with Dr. Ranjan. Please excuse the technical hitches because I'm using a new system and I'm not very comfortable with it. And still, I'm not able to work on a few things. Shirisha. Hi. Oh, great. Nice to see you here. I think I missed another question somewhere up there. Raji, yes. Light on TRE. Now, TRE, as I mentioned, in the body work, when we say body in Tibetan medicine, let me talk about it from both the aspects of traditional medicine as well as how neurobiology is approaching it these days. The traditional aspect, we are Our mind is stationary. Our mind cannot travel without the presence of prana or vata. So vata, the prana carries the mind. The mind goes to different parts of the body like that. What is happening is these pranas are off balance. So the body is off balance. A lot of people might not have sensations in some parts of the body. When we do vipassana, we start to focus on sensations in our body. And a lot of people find that they cannot feel certain parts of the body. They're disconnected. We are disconnected. Why they? I should include me. That we are disconnected because the prana flow is not optimal there, which would translate in neurobiology as the nervous system is not functional there. Now, stress, tension, trauma, all of this creates a response in my nervous system, in my body. There is activation. And this activation has to come down with relaxation. The curve has to take place. But before I give my body, my mind, an opportunity to come down to baseline, there is another event and my stress rises up. So my nervous system is getting high strung. And it's reaching a point where I cannot bring it down with just simply trying to relax. This is where the forceful practices in yoga, in Tibetan yoga or Hatha yoga come into play. If you look at the simplest thing, all yoga is stretching and a certain posture, a certain movement. What is it doing? It is opening up the channels on the energy level. On the neurobiological level, it is giving a message to the autonomic nervous system that, hey, look, stress. And then when I let go of my posture, my body is coming to relaxation. So my brain, the autonomic nervous system, gets the message, hey, look, relaxation. Whereas all my life, I have been living like, hey, stress, hey, stress, hey, stress. I have not told my body, hey, relax. And when this reaches a certain, what do you call it, crest, when the crest reaches a certain level, the cognitive brain, the analytical brain cannot work it out. It's the primitive brain which is affected, which does not know language as much. It does know language, but not as much. So what do? My primitive brain works through movement, my musculoskeletal system, my breathing, my digestion, my circulation, etc. What is in my control? Movement is in my control. Breathing is in my control. Digestion happens on its own. Circulation is happening on its own. So I can take these two threads, work on it. So I take my physical movement, I take physical stress. I build up a bit of a physical stress in my system. And when it reaches that crest where my stress level is, I let go. So when the body starts to relax, the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the relaxing aspect of the nervous system, the tone starts to rise. When the tone begins, our body starts to give out all the stresses, physical, mental, emotional. The physically, it is seen very physically, either as, if you will think of it, what happens to you when you're stressed? My breathing changes. My body shrinks. So what do? I open up my body. My nervous system gets the message and it starts to bring relaxation. So TRE works like that, where when I have brought it up to a certain level and then I drop, the body starts to shake involuntarily. I am doing it, but I'm not doing it consciously. My nervous system, my reflex action is working. I have activated that system, and whatever my primitive brain was holding is now being released. That is a bit in a nutshell about TRE. Just be a primitive brain, fight and flight, yes. So what we are actually working with, see, as long as we have fight and flight, we are still good, because we are expending the energy that is building up within us emotionally. But there is the other response, which is called freeze. Imagine you are traveling in a car and another car or a cycle comes in front of you, you immediately brake. You slam the brakes. And that is what the nervous system does. It slams its brakes and there is no response. And the more we keep slamming brakes in our nervous system, the difficult it becomes for us to navigate our vehicle through life.